10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Blonde Blitz. I am your co-host, Deb Whitkus. Nikki is unfortunately away today on business in Atlantic City. We hope she's having a good time there, getting a lot of business. But we still have a great show for you today. It's NFL free agency, guys, and it has been wild so far. Tonight, we're going to break down each of the NFC divisions with different content creators and reporters for each division. But first, this show is sponsored by Underdog Sports. Type in code BLONDE for up to $100 in bonus money after the first deposit. And also, speaking of money, Nikki has set up a March Madness pool. We're switching to basketball here for a little bit, and my cat is going crazy. Sorry, guys. Switching to basketball a little bit. It's the Blonde Blitz Bracket Challenge on CBS Sports. So if you guys want to challenge each other, go ahead and sign up. Our producer, Dan, is putting that link to the bracket in our chat right now, and the link and the password as well. So for all of you guys watching. Without further ado, let's get to the show. Let's get to free agency, back to football. We're going to start off with the NFC West. I'm here in LA. So is my good friend, Richard Joel. He is the president of 405 Productions, a writer, a creator, an executive producer. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hello, Deb. Thanks for having me.
Hi, how are you?
Well, it's great to be on the Blonde Blitz. I love this.
I know. So Richard and I have done a ton of sports content together. Obviously, he's in his Rams jersey right now, so he's a huge Rams fan, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But Richard, you've heard a lot about the Blonde Blitz. Nikki and I were together at Super Bowl with you. We were kind of running around all of Vegas.
Yeah, I kind of lived it for a week, didn't I?
Yes. We literally lived together for a week. So it's great to finally have you on the show.
I love it. It's, after spending a week with you and Nikki, hearing about the Blonde Blitz, this is great to be on the show and talking about my favorite team, the Rams, and free agency. Let's do this. Let's rock and roll.
Yes. Well, everybody hears Olive. You can see Olive makes appearances all the time. She loves to get on the podcast too. But let's first, unfortunately, start with some bad news, just to get it over with. Aaron Donald has retired. Your thoughts on that?
Breaks my heart. Well, listen, he was an amazing defense tackle. He was probably the best defensive player on the Rams. Maybe you can think of Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen, but honestly, I think Aaron Donald was just the preeminent, the defensive person that, people, they had to double team him. They had to triple team him all the time. And he still got through. He still put pressure on the quarterback. He single-handedly pretty much won the Super Bowl for them, in those last couple plays of the Super Bowl. But it's a sad day for me because I'm a season ticket holder. I love watching him play. He's a lot of the reason I went to the games for the defensive, that defensive battle with Aaron Donald up the center. But you know what? Every good thing has to come to an end at some point in time. But I'm glad we had him for his 9 seasons on the Rams and that he wasn't on some other team.
Absolutely. And, when you go to SoFi, there's Aaron Donald jerseys everywhere. It's always nice to see. And I actually was watching a clip where literally there was 4 guys on just him. And you're like, this is why he's so great.
I'm intrigued to know what he's going to do now. Is he going to follow in the steps of TV and film? Is he going to do his own sports show, or does he have a private business, like a winery or something,
Yep. Well, and it's funny you say that because that actually was my next question to you. Where do you think he lands in general in life? And then also, all great, Rams defensive player of all time. Where do you think he lands both, in life and professionally?
Well, from what I know, he's a very family oriented guy. And I think that's a lot of why he's retiring now is he wanted to be able to walk and talk as he got older, but he wanted to spend time with his kids. And so I don't think he's going to jump into anything necessarily right now, but I could certainly see him being either a sports broadcaster, an announcer, a play-by-play. He's got such knowledge and he's so charismatic. I could easily see him on TV down the line, whether it be a year or 5 from now. I'm sure he's got an open card. He walks in the door, people are going to hire him without a doubt. He's got it. And then where does he rank, all time with Rams defense? I honestly, I think he's probably number one. If not, he's in the top three. Like I said, Merlin Olsen and Deacon Jones, as far as defense players. I know a lot of people probably don't know those names, but if you go back, they were, part of the fearsome foursome of the Rams, the defense. And I just, but I think with his, 111 sacks, is that what he had? Something like that? 112?
Something crazy.
Something crazy, that's, in 9 years. So he's averaging 10, 11, 12 sacks a year. That's pretty impressive, considering always getting double and triple teamed. But you really can't compare eras. We know that. That's the biggest debate ever. Can you compare eras? But I'm going to say Aaron Donald's number one. Yeah.
What was your favorite Aaron Donald play?
Oh, the Super Bowl. That
and you were there, right?
No, I was not at the Super Bowl. I was with you. We were.
Oh, that's right. You were at the first Super Bowl in Atlanta when they played. Yes.
And I went to the one where they lost. Yes. No, I think that play just really summed up him as a player where you had to step up and make a play to end the game and to win the Super Bowl. He did it. And that was those last couple of plays. He put such pressure on the quarterback that there was no way, that Joe Burrow could get the pass off. And I think that's my favorite. That's without a doubt. I mean, come on, you bring him to the Super Bowl to in LA. What better play does Aaron Donald, epitomize?
Absolutely. It was a great game. And we actually watched it at the NFL alumni SoCal party. So it was great to be around those guys too. What do you think the Rams now have Jimmy G traded from the Raiders to the Rams, backing up Stafford. Do you like that move or?
Okay, when I read that, I love the move.
Okay,
First of all, we're getting a starting QB as our backup, and I love Matthew Stafford. I'm wearing a Stafford jersey right now. I mean, he's my favorite player. Okay, but he's getting older. He's prone to lower back injuries. He's prone to ankle injuries. He can't scramble as well, and so having somebody who is a starting QB that I think he's something like 40-20, 45-20 is his record as a starter, 43-20 as a starter. That's pretty impressive. And he's a great quarterback, and he's a great scrambler, and he's a great playmaker. And I just don't think he was the right fit for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he would be a great fit for Los Angeles. And I'm actually, this is my prediction right now, is that I think Stafford has, as much as I don't want him to retire, I think he has probably 1, maybe 2 seasons left. I think Jimmy G steps in as the starter after that.
Wow. Okay.
I think they are grooming Jimmy G to be the starter of the LA Rams after Matthew Stafford retires. That's
okay. We will.
You heard it here on the Blonde Blitz.
Like you heard it here on the Blonde Blitz first. Richard Joel, everybody. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about all that. I mean, he signed a 1-year deal. Maybe. I mean, Jimmy G's younger, but he just is injury prone, and that's what scares me a little bit. But we shall see. Also, too, Stenson Bennett, also from Georgia. No one kind of knows where he is. If he is even on the roster still, not sure. But he kind of, got signed and then kind of disappeared.
And did they just cut Carson Wentz too? Is that what they did?
Carson Wentz went somewhere else.
Okay.
But yeah, they had signed him for a year, and then he now signed somewhere, and I'm not sure where, to be honest. But I definitely know he's not on the roster.
You look at Baker Mayfield doing a 1-year deal down in Tampa Bay, and they just gave him a 3-year deal for, I don't know, $100-some-odd million, right? Yep. And I think Jimmy G is still young enough and healthy enough, even though, yes, he's had some injuries. I think if he's got a great offensive line, he performs extremely well. He performs extremely well in the NFC West as well. He did really well in the 49ers. I think this is his division. So I think getting back in the NFC West where we can be a strong candidate. If he comes in as a backup, I think he'll do well, but I honestly see him progressing into being the starting quarterback down the line. Awesome.
Well, speaking of NFC West, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
Also in the division. We both got to interview all of the San Francisco players at the Super Bowl. It was amazing. And they haven't done a ton of free agency moves as of yet, except the only really rumors are Brandon Ayuk going to the Steelers. Ayuk had posted on X, at Coach Tomlin, they say and we twins. What do you think? So there's some rumors going on that he's going to the Steelers. What do you think him leaving would do to the San Francisco offense?
I honestly don't think much. I know he was a huge playmaker, but they have a lot of playmakers on that team. I think they have a lot of receivers on that team. I know I was just looking earlier today, they're re-signing a lot of people on the team. So I think they're coming back with their core offense and defense, which was very, very strong in the last couple of years. I think Brock Purdy, another year under his belt. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, they got such a strong offense. I'm not sure. I kind of say, look at what happened with the Chiefs when Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs. They didn't flounder. Somebody else stepped up. They found another receiver. They made plays. They made it back to 2 more Super Bowls. So I see the same thing for the 49ers is everybody will step up. Somebody will fill that spot, and they'll be amazing. They'll be at the top of the division again, I'm sure.
Right. Who do you think would fill it? Any ideas?
Off the top of my head, no. I don't.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of wide receivers out there, but it's going to be hard to take Ayuk's place. Absolutely. And last year we were at last year's Super Bowl. You were in the stadium for the game, and I just wanted to bring up something you had said. You thought that San Francisco will make a run for Super Bowl again this year. I actually just saw a bracket saying the same thing, that this person thinks San Francisco is going to be in the Super Bowl. Last year you had said that you knew the second that the team stepped on that field, they were going to lose. And I wanted to bring that up because I wanted you to talk about it. How did you know?
So, it's interesting. I've been to a lot of football games. I was at all the playoff games up to the Super Bowl run for the Rams, but I've never paid attention to the coin toss as much as I did this time. And of course, everybody's betting on the coin toss. Is it heads or is it tails? And so I took a real interest. I was taking photos, and I realized that the Chiefs came out, I want to say battle ready. They had their helmets on. They were pumped. They were psyched. And the 49ers came out. They had their helmets on their side. I think they wanted hey, I'm on TV. Can my friends see me? Can my family see me? I want to get this, this big moment. The Chiefs were ready for battle. And I felt literally at that moment, the game was won by the Chiefs. Even though it dragged on and they had to do overtime, I just felt in my heart, even though it was okay, let's cheer for Brock Purdy and the 49ers here. It was the Chiefs. It was the Chiefs. Their mentality and their battle readiness came out, and it just showed from the coin toss on.
Awesome. What do you think of San Francisco for this Super Bowl?
For this next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. It's always tough to repeat.
It is tough to repeat. Well, listen, they've been there. The NFC Championship game. I definitely think they'll be in the NFC Championship game. I'd like to say the Rams are going to be there, but I don't know. They looked, the Rams came on pretty well at the end of last season. If they start off strong and Stafford's healthy and the team's healthy, we could definitely make a run against San Francisco. But they are such a complete team. And I think, again, another year with Brock Purdy as quarterback, if he stays healthy, if Deebo Samuel, if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, their team, their defense, they're just a solid team from head to toe, and they got a great coach. And I just think it's, it's a bad play here or there in the Super Bowl that they lost. But I don't think they're going to have that letdown. I think they're going to come back and be.
Well, they need to know the overtime rules, first of all. That would kill them. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm see Patrick Mahomes' face,
I'm sure they're not forgetting the overtime rules now. But I honestly think that they are such a solid team. And then if they stay healthy, listen, Detroit looked really good. So there's a couple teams in the NFC that can make a run for it. But right now, I think they have to be the odds-on favorite to get back there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, just a couple more points for NFC West before we move on to NFC South. A couple things that I liked in free agency. Desmond Ridder left Atlanta and went to the Arizona Cardinals. Training camp, I think, is going to be interesting with Murray competing with Ridder. We'll see what happens there. I think Ridder's a better player than Murray. I just don't like Murray, maybe, but we'll see.
Here's my prediction on that. Since I'm making predictions today on the Blonde Blitz, I think they're going to give Murray 4 games, 5 tops. If he's not winning and accelerating, playing extremely well, they're benching him for Ridder. There's no doubt. I think the last 2-3 years have been a real sign that Kyler Murray's not the quarterback everybody thought he would be. Maybe he's got the potential there. He just has not delivered. And even when he came back, he just looked half as energized. He just wasn't making the plays. And I think they're bringing somebody either to force him to step up and raise his game, or saying, hey, you know what? If you don't raise your game, we're going to sit you and put somebody else in the game. And I think that could very easily happen by game 4 or 5.
Yep. And I completely agree with you. I think it'll be a little bit of a battle in training camp. I think Murray will win it, and then they'll bench him a couple games in, just what you said. And also with Sam Howell, the Commanders going, from the Commanders going to Seattle, Geno Smith leaving there. So I'm not leaving there, but he might be his backup. I think these are good moves for both of these quarterbacks.
Absolutely. Listen, I think it's a good move to put somebody of quality behind a starter when they were a little shaky last season. And you're like, hey, listen, you need to step up your game, or again, we're going to sit you down. I think it'll be a similar situation in Seattle. How much rope do they give Geno Smith? It's a good question.
I agree. I think they're going to give him a little bit more rope than they're going to give Murray, but time will tell. And I always love training camp because I love to see the competition between the possible the starter and the backup. So, all right, Richard, thank you so much for coming on the Blonde Blitz. I hope it was everything you dreamed of.
It is. It's what it is going to go down. It's that checklist. I always wanted to be on the Blonde Blitz and do a sports podcast. So here I am. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. And where can all of our listeners find you, by the way?
At Richard Joel 405, whether it be Instagram or Facebook. Awesome.
All right. Go ahead and go. We are going to move on to the NFC South. Richard, thank you again.
You got it. Okay.
All right, guys. Our next guest has a show covering all the pro Atlanta sports teams and the Georgia Bulldogs. His name is Chris. His co-host name is Ivan, and his show is called Around the ATL. Everybody, please welcome Chris to the Blonde Blitz. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? How you doing, Deb? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you and talk Atlanta sports.
I'm excited. It was a little unexpected tonight, but I made it. So.
Yes, thank you for being here. By the way, guys, his co-host Ivan was originally supposed to be on. Ivan had a conflict, so he called Chris and was like, "Can you do this? Because I don't want to leave her high and dry." So we appreciate you.
No problem at all.
Well, I'm excited to talk Falcons with you because I personally lived in Atlanta for 2 years, kind of where my love of football kind of solidified and how I where I started working on sports reporting. So I'm so excited to talk Falcons. Some big moves for you guys in free agency here. You got Kirk Cousins from the Vikings, Desmond Ridder now has left and gone to Arizona. So how do you feel about Cousins playing for the Falcons?
Well, unlike some people, initially I had hesitations, but at the end of the day, we have a quarterback now that from the last 2 years, we have a quarterback that can get the ball to our best players. Mm-hmm. We've been missing that for 2 seasons, and we have 2 10-loss seasons to prove that it didn't work how they initially planned it. So I'm excited about that. He's a 4,000-yard passer. He can get 30 touchdowns a year with especially with the tools that we have. We have a running game here already. So we're kind of laid out on the offensive side. So I'm excited as far as that goes. I mean, Pitts is happy.
Yeah.
Can't beat that, definitely for sure. In London, I read somebody, I think it was on ESPN, said London has a potential to be a superstar now because he has a quarterback that can give him the ball all the time. So we're excited.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I have a question like that coming up. But what do you think Cousins is worth the $180 million 4-year contract? So he's 35 years old, and that's getting up there for a quarterback. Like not everybody can be Brady. Do you think that's a lot of money for, and a 4-year contract? Like, should they just sign him to a 1? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it was with the contract part of it. It's the NFL, so it's hard sometimes to talk about it, but it's supply and demand. And one of those deals with solidifying, saying, hey, you're the guy, and you're the guy for a while, because a while technically now is 2 years, right?
That's true.
So technically to say, no matter what, you're the guy unless you can't play, basically. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that goes into it a little bit. And it also gives whoever we end up drafting as a quarterback now, definitely you're going to sit for a couple of years for sure. So you have to know that coming in. So I think just the longevity part and just solidifying, saying we have a quarterback now who can actually quarterback. Mm-hmm. The money part of it, I kind of just brush aside. One, it's not my money. But I think it also shows other teams and other players to say, hey, we're going to be truthfully serious about this, because for the last 2 years, we're playing around, basically.
Right. Well, and speaking last 2 years, there's another like Taylor Heineke, basically. He's right now the backup. Do you think he's staying? You talked about drafting another quarterback. Do you think you guys will draft another quarterback, in the draft, or is Heineke
Well, I
staying? Or what do you
believe they
think?
picked up the little bit of money that Heineke was supposed to make. So I think we're going to have him as the 2 as of right now. And I believe that we could still get a quality number 3 in the draft, possibly. Whether or not that's going to be the heir apparent 3 years from now, you never know. But this is you have some good quarterbacks coming out of this draft. So that's a possibility as well. As far as Heineke, it didn't work out last year at all, but at the end of the day, he has had some traction in the NFL over the years. He has won some games out there. So in a pinch, I believe, he can work out for, the short time if Cousins gets hurt or something. But I'm like I said, I'm trying to hopefully blank all that out.
Right? We don't want anyone getting hurt.
Yeah.
And Kirk is such a great guy. He's a family guy. I actually interviewed him at Pro Bowl 2 years ago. So I definitely want to see him succeed. Could not be a nicer man. Do you think that Cousins can, put the Falcons over the hump here? Like, do you think you're playoff bound? Like, it's obviously been a merry-go-round.
Sure. I mean, we were supposed to go to the playoffs last year. We had a team that should, especially with the defense, we should have made the playoffs. And if it wasn't for the fact that we couldn't get the ball to people enough, especially in crunch time and just the turnovers, it just limited what we could do. And so we really had a 10-game season that turned into a 10-loss season again.
And you guys had a winning record for a while there.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. We really needed to win last year. So this year for sure. But the one thing I'm concerned about is this, again, we did all this on the offensive side. We got Cousins. We got some wide receivers. We got tight ends. We re-signed some of our linebackers and D tackles from last year, but we didn't address getting a pass rusher in free agency yet still. So now it's like, I guess we're going to do that in the draft at this point because we really do need somebody. We're still at the bottom of rushing the passer, and we had basically a top 10 defense without a pass rush. If we could ever get a pass rush, we'd be almost unbeatable at this point. So hopefully we address that in the draft.
Well, and you guys have the number 8 pick in this year's draft. Who do you think we should go? Who do you think you should go for?
Well, because the draft is going to be kind of quarterback heavy at the top, and then you have some wide receivers that are probably going to go pretty high. You got Brock Bowers out there and Neighbors and everybody. I believe, let's see, the top 3, Turner from Alabama, Verse from Florida State, and Latu from UCLA, all 3 of those would be available. So those would be the 3 I'd be looking at if the Falcons are going to be saying, hey, we're finally not going to pick an offensive player in the draft for the 4th straight year. Those are the 3 guys to look at. I'm leaning towards Turner because he can run, he could pass rush, and he can stop the run too. So,
how many picks do you guys have in the draft?
Now you're catching me on that one. I believe we have at least 5.
I think so too, yeah.
I've just been really concentrating on that number 8 since we got Cousins. I know we're not getting a quarterback now.
Yeah,
so,
everybody does, yeah.
Everything switched at that point, yeah.
Got it. Well, and you also have a new coach, Raheem Morris. Do you think he has what it takes, to see ATL have a winning season?
So I've been torn on this one because he has been here before and we know his overall coaching history and things of that nature. However, at this point, him coming back and him being the guy for sure now, because before he was interim. Okay. So he was never, put in there as the actual coach, but he served after Dan Quinn was gone. But this time he has the reins of the team and he's coming into a team that has a lot of talent on it.
A lot. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You
have players that do respect him, and I believe he's coming in at the proper time. And in this case, the general manager has his back too. That's going to be huge. So with that being said, I believe we have the direction, and I believe even Kirk Cousins said when you have the direction of the general manager and the owner on the same page, it goes a long way to success. So if they can keep that up, sky's the limit because we need it. We can't go another season without seeing a winning record and not the playoffs. And we need a playoff win. Like, we really need to go sky high at this point for the next couple of years because we've been so down since our last playoff run, which was the year after the Super Bowl, which was forever ago now. So.
Right. What there were rumors about Belichick stepping in, and they obviously hired Raheem Morris. I mean, obviously it didn't happen, but I would love to know like what your thought when like Belichick was in the mix.
That was probably the most interesting time in Falcons history because
I thought that
too. because really it was a matter of, okay, you have one of the winningest coaches in NFL history per Super Bowls and everything, and then you had the side where the fan base is like, oh well, he's just too old now, he's too curmudgeon-y and all this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, he can coach defense too.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And so you had all these different things, but I'm like, you know what though? It wasn't just him having Tom Brady. He built a whole franchise.
Literally.
Right. So in that case, I was like, if we can get him, let's get him. If he wants to come to Atlanta, why not? Right. So there was just a lot of tossing and turning. I was down for it if it happened, but at the end of the day, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it just started fizzling, and all of a sudden, it was just like, "Whoa, what happened here?" And then he didn't get picked by anybody, as we see. So I don't know. Maybe that was him or other teams, or I don't know. So it was a strange period of time in Falcons history for sure.
Right, for sure. Who do you think is going to be Cousins' go-to guy? Do you think it's going to be Robinson? Do you think it's going to be London? Do you think it's going to be Pitts? Like, who are you predicting?
Well. See, I got to be careful how I say this. Technically, it's supposed to be Pitts because Pitts has been basically the guy since Matt Ryan has been gone, hasn't either been getting the ball or he's been not running his routes right and all this kind of stuff. It should be Pitts, but I'm leaning towards London because London is a supreme route runner and he catches everything. And if it's just a matter of somebody getting him the ball regularly, like getting targets, it's probably going to be London, especially in clutch. But just being wide open as well, I believe Pitts is definitely going to be that safety net. And, of course, you got Robinson, who technically I don't know how many plays are going to run out that backfield for him. But with Cousins being there, they should do it a lot more than they did last year and actually remember he's on the team.
Right.
So the good thing is we have a good problem to have.
They absolutely did not use him enough.
Because we have a plethora of people that we can count on. But I think it's going to be between London and Pitts.
Okay. Well, we also in the NFC South, we also have the Panthers and the Buccaneers and the Saints. Not a lot of movement with the Panthers or the Saints in free agency, but the Buccaneers, Mayfield, is back with the Bucs after he's signed a 1-year deal. I liked him with the Bucs. I'm excited that he's now getting that big paycheck and that bigger contract. What are your thoughts on Baker in staying with the Buccaneers?
I thought it was a good move for them. I mean, I thought it was a smart move for them. I mean, he proved that he can do it again, and he's had his spottiness there in with the Browns and some other teams, but he did prove through a whole season that he can get the ball to people as well. Wherever talent is on the field, he can lead a team, and they made the playoffs. The Falcons didn't. Yes. So you got to give them that credit and to have their continuity, to have their continuity not broken up by bringing somebody else in there. So they are, they still have their defense as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they can carry on. I believe right now it's the Falcons and Tampa because I hate the Saints just like everybody else in Atlanta. So it ain't going to be the Saints. And Carolina is still a ways away, and they let a lot of people go. I mean, they're
a mess.
I don't know what they're doing down there. Yeah.
Well, and that's my last question. Do you think the Panthers are going to do any better this season?
I'll say this. Bryce will give him a little bit more of a chance because now he's gotten that 1 year out of his system. It wasn't the greatest year of all. There's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that didn't have a great season. Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, stuff happens, right? So it just kind of depends how they continue to build out, their coaching staff and things of that nature. But for this season coming up, no, they're not going to be anything.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you'll come on again. I'd love to collaborate more. Before you go, where can our audience find you?
Around the ATL, you can go to either imtnworldwideradio.com or IMTN Worldwide Radio on YouTube to watch the show, and on Twitter, or X, whatever.
Right.
You can find Intellect ATL or IMTM Radio.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you soon. Have a great night.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, we are moving on to my favorite division, the NFC East. Courtney, get on up here.
Hey,
Friends of
what
the
up?
show.
Yes. What's up, Deb?
What
How are
is
you
going
doing?
on? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for the invite, of course. And I'm always game to chop it up with you and Nikki and Dan. We just had a good time. So yeah, I'm excited to talk with you as we met in person during Super Bowl week. So that was exciting.
We literally it was that we saw each other from across the stadium.
Yes. You're
and ran together.
Yes, we did. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. Yes.
That's so funny. Well, thank you for being on.
Yes.
And can I just say, Barkley's an Eagle.
Yes. There we go. Happy dance. Yes. Barkley is an Eagle. I'm like, that was, it was. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got to tell you the process of how I heard this and everything too. So I'm sitting here working and everything, and we knew free agency started that Monday. So the legal.
It was my birthday, by the way.
Yes. Happy belated birthday too,
Thank
of course.
you.
Yes. And so the legal tampering started on Monday, and then I said, okay, what are the Eagles going to do? Are they going to make some moves? And then there's the picture there, right there. Yes. My wife and Deb. Yes.
We love his wife.
Yes.
It was her birthday too.
Yes. March 10th. Yep.
March 10th and March 11th. So
yes. So there's a connection right there. Pisces. Yeah. Pisces connection. So I'm sitting there working, and then the running back started going, and I'm thinking, oh, okay. I think the first one was, I can't remember who the first one was. Anyway, it was a couple running backs that went. And then I'm like, okay, the Eagles are going to have to make a move because they're losing their running back. They lost Swift. Swift was the first one. Swift was the first one.
I was like, what is going on? Why are we losing Swift? Like what?
Yeah. We got something up our sleeve. Got to have something. How we have to have something.
My friend's freaking out, to be honest.
Yes. Right. I think Tony Pollard was next. So it's like, okay, all right. And now they're chopping down all the running backs. Like the Eagles gotta have something. Is it Derrick Henry? Is it something? And then I was like, oh, Barkley was in talks. I was like, is it gonna happen? The next thing you know, the alerts started coming, and here comes Barkley as an Eagle. I had to double look, and it's like, wait, is that true? So I looked at all the sources that we had, that we see, the Sports Illustrated, ESPN, all those things, and yeah, it was true. So I was very excited, very, very excited.
So, quick question: are your Giants friends still talking to you?
Not really. They're still upset. They're I said, don't blame us.
Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Nikki. Love you.
Dan and Nikki. Yes. Don't blame us. It's like you guys didn't want to pay Barkley. That's just the nature of it. It was business. It's business. He wanted to stay a Giant. He wanted to be a Giant. They didn't want to pay him. The Eagles did pay. And there he was. And then I know Giant fans are upset. It could have been any other team. I said, yes, I understand. If it was,
he could have went to Dallas.
Could have went, yeah, of course, right. And then they said that, well, the Texans, they wouldn't have been as upset. He went to Baltimore. They would have been upset, just not as much as in the NFC East. Trade him to a division rival. So yeah.
So the other big news: Pittsburgh no longer has Pickett, and he's the Eagles' backup quarterback.
Yeah. Surprise. That was a little surprising. I was like, okay, the Eagles aren't going to need a backup. They needed a backup for Hurts.
Yeah. And then we lost Mariota.
Lost Mariota. So I was thinking maybe they'll get a veteran. I thought maybe Flacco again. I thought that for he resurrected his career. So they needed someone like that. And then with Pickett, there was the issues. He had some issues in Pittsburgh. He didn't like the way they handled bringing in Russ. And, so he was like, I'm out of here. So he didn't handle it right. So it's a new start for him. He's not gonna play unless Hurts gets hurt or he gets injured and or something, or Hurts it struggles really bad. But maybe it's a good move for Pickett to be a backup maybe for a year and
Mhm.
then learn the system and then he goes to another team as a starter. So
Yeah.
hey, I'm with it. Hey, I mean, we needed a backup, so we got a young quarterback as a backup. So why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with you. I think Pickett was kind of thrown into the limelight from the
Mhm.
get. And I think it was maybe a little bit too much for him because he
Yeah.
definitely received, he went backwards his second season, and that was
Yes.
obvious. But it was interesting, and kind of your process with the Eagles was kind of mine with the Steelers, because I also do a Eagles Steelers podcast,
Right.
PA all day with PSF with
Yes.
Frank Nicotero. And so, I'm clued into Steelers as well. And they just kept on dropping their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph was gone.
Yep.
And then Kenny Pickett left. And I was just like, what is Pittsburgh doing?
What are they gonna do? They have no quarterback, and then they got Russell Wilson.
And then
which
Russell
I thought,
Wilson
man,
was like, what? Okay.
yeah, yes.
So that was a little bit shocking, but I'm interested to see what Russell Wilson will do under Tomlin. I think it's actually maybe going to be a good move. I know that's not the division we're talking about, but
Right. But no, I think it could work, and I think someone like Mike Tomlin could help Russell
Mhm.
Wilson maybe resurrect his career a little bit. I mean, yes, Wilson's not the same as he is, but then you got Justin Fields now too as a Pittsburgh Steeler. So
Yep.
how that quarterback
true.
room is going to be tricky. And I know Russ is excited for the move because Russell Wilson, he is a class guy, class quarterback, and he's going to try to say the right things like that. But the competition for getting Justin Fields, now that was a surprise. Getting Justin Fields to
Yeah.
Pittsburgh after you just got
Huge
Russell Wilson and you
surprise.
lost Kenny Pickett, it's like, oh, okay, like what are you going to do? They're just I know it's early, it's only March, but they're saying, oh, Russ is going to be the starter and Fields is going to be the backup. But I'm thinking, okay, it's a competition. Fields could be the starter
really
and Russ can be the backup. So I mean, who knows? I mean, that's going to be interesting, but I think Tomlin, he could still get the best out of both of those guys. And Tomlin's just a guy that's just a leader, and they have talent. Pittsburgh has a lot of good talent on both ends. Defensively, they're really good, and offensively, they got talent too. So I feel like they can actually make noise, but they're just in a tough division. Very tough division.
Yeah, it's a very tough division.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then just as far as I feel like I love Fields, as everybody who watches this show knows. I talk about Justin Fields all the time. And when he was first drafted with Chicago, I was like, no.
Right.
But I think he will do well under Tomlin as well. And I think he might actually learn under Russ. I think Russ will start. And then honestly too, if Russell Wilson doesn't play well, couple games in, I think he might get benched for Fields. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But I think Fields will blossom under a veteran quarterback.
I do too. I think Fields would, and I think it's a good move that he goes to a team like Pittsburgh, who's great organization, great front office, great coach. So I think it was just the writing was on the wall for Fields once the Bears got the number 1 pick. But I felt like Fields could have won. The Bears didn't get. I think they got a 5th. And a 3rd and a 5th, maybe. I thought like maybe Fields could have went to somewhere like a Minnesota, Atlanta, somewhere like that. But when Atlanta got Kirk Cousins, and then all the quarterbacks were just flying off the free agency board, and I thought, okay, where can Fields go? Denver, I thought Denver still looking for a quarterback. So Pittsburgh was a surprise, but Russell only signed for 1 year. He's only 1 year, so and very cheap because Denver's got to pay him a boatload of money. So he's getting paid not playing on Denver, but I think they signed him for 1 year. I think it was like maybe 1.5 million or something like that, 2 million. So maybe it's just a 1 year stopgap for Russell Wilson, and then Justin Fields will be signed long term with Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yep, I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what the mindset's going to be, going into this. Well, let's get back to the NFC East a little bit. As far as free agency, the Cowboys have been a little low key.
Yeah.
But the rivalry is not. Funny story. Dak's brother threw some shade to Jalen Hurts during an appearance on the I Am Athlete podcast. His brother was asked to name the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, and he conveniently left Jalen off of that
Of
list.
course.
Yeah. And he even asked why he did it. And he responded, "You said quarterbacks, not running backs."
Oh, jeez. Okay. Took a shot. All right. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people try to take shots at Jalen Hurts. It's almost like they're saying, oh, he had a bad year. Now, the Eagles themselves did collapse. And as we've talked before about this, that Hurts, yes, he takes some blame. He doesn't take all because he was one of the ones that was actually trying to play well. He did take a step back. Yes, he did from being almost an MVP 2 seasons ago. Yes,
Absolutely.
he did regress a little. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. We've been through all that. So it could have been a little bit of coaching. It was a lot of the defense. It was a lot of different things. But now his leadership's getting in question now, and he's not a top 10 quarterback. It was just 2 years ago he was a top 5 quarterback. He was moving up in the top 5. So now he dropped out of the top 10. I didn't see that much of a regression. Little, but he's definitely still top 10.
Well, and also too, I mean, I just feel like he made some bad decisions.
Yes, yeah.
And I just don't know if it was his own decisions or if it was the coach. Or if it was coaching in general.
Might have been both, combination of both. Maybe it's system. He made some bad. He wasn't as confident. It seemed like in the play calling, and the play calling was very questionable. So he does get some of the blame, but I feel like I think he's getting too much of it. I don't think we should just like say, oh, that's it, and everything. But I feel like it's going to be. I think he's gonna take this as motivation. We know when he gets taken, like people take shots at him, he's gonna come back motivated. And now with Barkley in the backfield, it's gonna be and new offensive coordinator. Yes, it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to see how this season's gonna turn out.
Awesome. And Austin Ekeler is now a Commander.
Yes.
I'm a little because I cover the Chargers and I love Ekeler. But I mean, Commanders, we'll see. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought that was a good move. I think the Commanders are trying to actually make good. I think they're trying to make some moves, and because the last few years they haven't really done anything. They've been at the bottom of the division, and it's like they needed to do something. And I think getting Ekeler, a veteran like that, I mean, think of the Chargers. They're losing a lot of pieces. Harbaugh.
I don't know what the Chargers are going to do. What are they doing?
They just have their quarterback. They just have, they have the quarterback. That's it.
Thank God he's good.
Yeah. So they lose their receivers, and they lost Ekeler. It's like you lost 75% of your offense. Yeah.
So, well, in that regard, they have the number 2 pick. Who do you think they're taking?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, would they get it? They could get a quarterback. The Commanders.
They need a quarterback.
They quarterback. So I could see them. If Caleb Williams goes number 1, they got their choice of a quarterback. I could, or they could just trade. They could trade down too. That's true. It's a possibility. So I can see them getting whatever quarterbacks fall to them. I think they'll go quarterback.
Okay, I agree with you there too. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Giants. And Dan, producer Dan, if you want to hop on, feel free. The Giants.
You knew he was. You knew he was coming. Hey, what's up, man?
Dan, you guys have the number 6 draft pick. What? Who you getting?
Who am I getting?
Yeah.
So this is going to be the fun. It's the guessing game of, is a quarterback going to fall to us at 6 that we like, or are they going to make a move down to the lower picks and give up a lot of baggage for it, or do we go after a wide receiver? So really, at the end of the day, it's just whatever they do. I hope they just figure it out smartly and make the right call, because with the holes we have, whatever we get in the first round is honestly going to be an added bonus. So if there's a quarterback we like, go for him. Don't matter who or what. Just go for him.
Why do you think the Giants have been so quiet in free agency?
Well, I think it's the combination of right now they're making the smaller, better moves. I know we made the trade with Brian Burns, which was basically that was basically our offseason.
Yeah.
right now we have a couple $1 million of cap space, so we have to restructure Andrew Thomas and maybe Dexter Lawrence, who signed extensions last year. With Andrew Thomas, we would get $10 million of cap relief, so that would help with our draft. And we still don't know what's going on with Darren Waller. He mentioned that he wanted to retire, so he's still in limbo on exactly what's going on. So we'll see what happens. We're slowly doing a rebuild while not doing a rebuild. I know you guys mentioned it before. It's Saquon. We weren't going to pay him that money that the Eagles offered him and got. It's just obvious because we're not that team yet. I was okay with Saquon leaving, and then once I saw it was the Eagles, I was like, damn, he left us for another girl type of feel.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, and we were saying if it was anybody,
and then today when
then
today with the clips when he throws his daughter under the bus and she says, "Oh, we can actually win now." When she sees the Eagle logo, I was like, "Oh, okay, Saquon."
Oh no,
your 3-year-old daughter really knows the difference, but I'll take it.
All right, guys. Well, we got 10 minutes left. I got to bring on my NFC North. Yes. But Courtney, thank you so much for coming. Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And you can also find the show at Get the Real Deal on Twitter, all podcasts and all podcast platforms. Yes. So at Get the Real Deal.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you, Deb. Have a good one.
Birds.
Thanks. Go Birds.
All right, guys. Next, we've got representing the NFC North. We welcome Shorty from Pro Sports Fans. We're both MediaCasters, actually, and on that platform. Super fun dance show is called Bears Country Productions, or BCB. You down with BCP? Yeah, you know me. I love that. I was specifically told to say that. So, Shorty, how you doing? Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, I thought that I unmuted myself. Sorry. I am great. Thanks for having me on, Deb. It's a pleasure to meet you. I know we've been having a lot of fun on PSF ourselves, so I'm sure that you have as well. Yep. And great platform for all sports fans of any sport. So go check that out. Yep. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you here. So big news out of the NFC North. Justin Fields has been traded to Pittsburgh. So you guys have that first draft pick here. Who do you want to draft?
Wait, who got traded?
Who? Who's that guy? You don't care about him anymore.
Wait, we have the first pick? Oh,
wait.
No, it's it's I've been thinking about what to say.
Yeah.
On the show
obviously
tonight.
This question was coming.
I mean, obviously that's the elephant in the room, right? Right. I've been trying to think of this in a way to summarize it.
Here's a question. So, I mean, obviously, from what you just said, you're not a Fields fan, but
no. Listen,
okay.
I'll summarize it. I never thought we would have a chance at Fields in that draft, so I never bothered scouting him. So when we ended up with Fields, he was the most dynamic quarterback I've ever seen. Any of us Bears fans have ever seen it in the play quarterback for us. So the love grew from that moment on, and I just think that what it came down to was he wasn't seeing the field well enough. He wasn't seeing the entire field well enough. He wasn't able to go through every progression in his reads. It seemed like, Darnell Mooney had a big year before they got DJ Moore. Well, then they got DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney disappeared because that was his guy. There was plenty of plays where they were in the same, like Darnell Mooney or DJ Moore crossed Mooney's path and Mooney was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown, but he hit DJ Moore for a 35-yard first down.
It was a great play. I'm a big DJ Moore fan, by the way. I've met him, I've interviewed him, I've hung out with him. He's a great guy from Philly. Anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's ultimately what it came down to. And I've been, 3 years ago when I was scouting quarterbacks in the Justin Fields draft, I saw Caleb Williams and I was like, man, it'd be great to have that kid one day. And then we drafted Justin. So I just never gave it a second thought that we could be sitting there with the possibility to have Caleb Williams as the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And then fast forward to right now, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's the skeptical Bears fan in me that just knows that they are always going to find a way to screw this up. It's like we are never meant to have a super, like, we all thought Justin Fields was going to be that guy. It just didn't pan out. Like, I thought Justin Fields could have been an MVP candidate by last year.
I agree with you. From the way he played at Ohio State, I was like, I love this kid. I wrote an article on him, and I was, to be honest, when he went to the Bears, I was like, no. From what you just said, the Bears just can't seem to get it right.
It's like they can draft linebackers and defensive linemen and running backs all day long, but they can just never get the quarterback position correct. So I ultimately feel it's funny because, like, literally about 5 minutes before I came on the show, you ever had a premonition, like you just came out of nowhere and you see it in your head, you're like, oh yeah, like, and you can kind of almost and then it usually comes true because it's like, that was weird that it just came out of nowhere and I thought that and that just happened. It just came to me like 5 minutes before the show that they are trading this pick. And
and that's a possibility. We talked about it with the Commanders. I mean, the Commanders could trade up. They need a quarterback too. So.
He's from DC. You know, I was watching all of the interviews with him at his pro day and just kind of trying to read his reaction to the questions. And some of them you could almost tell if you're reading the person that's answering the question, you can kind of see the wheels turning here or there, and you can almost, it's kind of like how somebody tells somebody is lying, right? They might do something. You can always kind of tell just from reading the room in a conversation like that or in an interview. It just hit me that I'm going to stop looking at him. I'm going to stop watching his tape because I am just going to absolutely torture myself because Roger Goodell is going to come to the podium, and as I think he's going to announce that they're going to draft Caleb Williams, he's going to say, "In the Chicago Bears trade," and I'm going to fall off my seat and curl up into the fetal position and start crying like a little girl.
Oh, no. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because I don't want to see you cry. But you never know. I mean, the NFL is a crazy place. It's a crazy business, and we shall see. The one thing that I know you guys have here, Keenan Allen from the Chargers was traded to you guys. You already have DJ Moore. I think, honestly, these guys are two of my favorite wide receivers in the league. What kind of damage do you think that duo can do?
Well, it depends on the quarterback, obviously, right? I think that all signs would point to that they're setting Caleb up for success. But it's ultimately, you know, I truly believe in my heart of hearts they're going to trade that pick because now everyone believes that that they're taking him. So they're going to get even more for that pick now. So, I mean, knowing the Bears, they'll probably just roll with Tyson Bagent this year and see what happens. And then they'll get a huge supporting cast around him. They'll build up the offensive line through the draft, get him another receiver or two. They'll get a defensive end, and and then they'll just roll with Tyson Bagent. That's what the Bears will do. That's a Bears move.
If that happens, I will be consoling every Bears fan that I have.
You will need to.
Oh, no.
Those of us that are still Bears fans.
What do you think the Vikings will do with the two first round draft picks?
I really see JJ McCarthy as a Viking for some reason. It's in my head that the Vikings would take a guy from Chicago that grew up in Chicagoland and, you know, kick our ass with them twice a year. Because, you know, we're not going to have Caleb Williams, so they will.
It's going to be a tough division. All right, we're running out of time, Shorty. But Anything else you want to talk about? The Bears or?
I did want to say that, my wife was in the film industry. She was an accountant for several years. So I'm aware of IMDb. I did see you on there. Yes. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Pretty cool. Why do you have a producer? You are a producer. What's going on? Or you don't need Dan. You don't need Dan.
I do need Dan. We love Dan.
I'm just kidding, Dan. I'm just kidding. No, you need to have a producer when you're running a show. We have one, so it makes things a lot easier in life for sure.
Easier, yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling about the Eagles this year?
Really good. I mean, come on. We just got Barkley. I mean, we've got Smith, Brown, Hurts. We just got Pickett as a backup, which I think is amazing. I mean, Goddard, top of his game. I don't really know a better offense at this point. I think we're going to be a powerhouse. Obviously San Francisco also is up there. We'll see. I think we'll be, a Super Bowl contender yet again. Well, not that we were a Super Bowl contender last year.
How would you feel if because I have a feeling it's going to be the Giants that are going to trade up from, what are they at 5?
They're at 6.
I think it's going to be the Giants that are going to trade from 6 to 1.
Okay.
And they're going to draft Caleb. How would you feel if that happened? Because that's where we're going to get that haul from, is 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. The Falcons already have Cousins, so how would you feel?
For all of my Giants fans, they love you right now. I mean, I think that would be a huge shock. But like I said, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. And that's why I love it. All these storylines and the unexpected. Draft day is usually like Christmas. Like Christmas Eve, I'm always like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, if that happens, you heard it here first on the Blonde Blitz. Shorty, where can our listeners find you?
If you're a Bears fan or just a goofball like me and want to hear some goofball stuff, you can check us out at Bears Country Productions. We've got a few things going on over there. We have Bears Country Podcast, which is a show on there, and we also have a British Bears show. Made some friends overseas, and they host their own British Bears show, usually on Tuesdays, but they're not weekly like we are. We're every Thursday night, Bears Country Podcast on Bears Country Productions, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Deb, we would love to have you be a guest on our show one night and return the favor.
Yeah, that would be so much fun. Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
For coming on, and we will stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
We'll talk soon. All right, guys, speaking of Chicago and speaking of the Bears, next week we have a special guest and a special time. Instead of Wednesdays, we will be bringing you the Blonde Blitz on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And our special guest will be he's a 13-year veteran of the NFL, 8-time Pro Bowler, former linebacker for the Bears, and on the list of the 100 greatest Bears of all time, Brian Urlacher will be here with the Blonde Blitz with Nikki and I. So we're very excited to have him. We met him at Super Bowl, did some interviews with him, and he agreed to come on the show. So that will be next week. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, next week we'll have Brian on. The week after, we will talk AFC free agency. You can always check us out at Blonde Blitz Pod on IG, theblondeblitz.com, also on YouTube. And as always, you can see us right here live every Wednesday night, except for next week. It's going to be Monday on That Sports Podcast Network. Thanks to all of my fellow NFC content creators and reporters. Thanks for all of you for joining in. Nikki will be here on Monday, and see you then.